We are the first home tick testing kit for Lyme disease.
Does it work?
It works.
How long do you have to have the tick in you before it counts?
So that's based on a human test, we're testing the tick, not the patient. So for example, this is my patient.
So we gotta find the tick and send it to you?
You know, we put a lot of work and preparation into having a really cohesive pitch. So to not even have the chance to start that pitch and get interrupted, it felt really disrespectful. This is my patient. He found a tick on himself over a month ago. It was embedded behind his ear, which is a common spot. And the pediatrician said, just wait, see if you get symptoms like a fever or a bullseye rash. But those were symptoms he never got. So by the time he ended up in my office, he had a huge, hot, red, swollen knee. At age 12, he has Lyme arthritis.
Hey, would you do something? Will you check behind my ear? I've been... It's that one.
You know what? You should see a certified physician.
We had a possible emergency there.
You know, we weren't really sure how to respond to that. As somebody who works in orthopedic, definitely out of my scope. Healthcare is super expensive, so people delay treatment. When you do get an appointment, blood tests miss up to 60% of early stage cases. So many people think they don't have Lyme disease when they actually do.
Is this a blood test or a pee test?
We are testing the tick. So if you find a tick on you or your dog or your horse, you test it and you'll immediately know.
Out of all the ticks that you've tested, what percent of those have Lyme?
54% of ticks in the New England Greater Atlantic region, like here in New York, have Lyme disease.
Lyme? Oh boy.
To build awareness about Lyme disease is super important. A lot of people here in New York don't know you can get Lyme disease sitting in Central Park. So our solution is an easy-to-use home test kit. If you find a tick anywhere, crush it. The solution inside works just like a COVID test, and that will clearly tell you if your tick carries disease or not and what steps you should take next.
If we're at 54%, if we've got a tick on us,
yeah, you might as well do that.
We're almost there.
So if you treat everyone with antibiotics, then antibiotic resistance is a real growing threat, and there are superbugs starting to form. So the global Lyme disease testing market is valued at over $10 billion last year.
But Lyme disease diagnostics in humans, not in ticks.
So we are the first one. So the status quo is either you find a tick and you mail it to a lab, which is expensive, or you get a blood test. But the blood tests miss 60% of early stage cases. We are the first one coming up with a home tick testing kit. You can know if you need prophylactic antibiotics which prevent disease.
The problem with this disease is not the lack of a cure. The problem really is in the lack of a accurate diagnostic tool.
We are a team of 4. We're recent graduates from MIT.
So 4 MIT students, is that going to be a problem down the road when one of them just decides to bail and, you know, and all that stuff happens that normally happens with entrepreneurs?
The stories we're getting from people who have been personally affected by this are really driving us. I mean, we could be doing anything, and frankly, we could have really well-paying jobs, but we chose each other and we chose this problem.
Is it standard consumer behavior to remove the tick and keep it, or do people typically throw it away?
Yeah.
That's what inspired it. I am a healthcare provider, and I get calls every single week from people who have found a tick and say, I found a tick on me, what do I do with it? And my answer typically is nothing. I'm going to treat you just in case, but that's also contributing to this antibiotic resistance issue.
So we're going to have to train humans to save the bug.
To pull out the tick.
Pull out the bug and save it.
This is one of the things we were hoping to achieve also, like some awareness about the treatment for Lyme disease.
And the go-to-market's B2B.
Go-to-market is B2B, but it can also be B2C to B.
So that's business to consumer to bug?
Sorry, B to B to C.
There we go.
But I love that.
Are payers paying for this?
Not yet, because it doesn't exist in the market yet.
Is there a through line to why they should?
This prevents a lot of healthcare spending. So the average cost per person to treat Lyme disease is over $4,000.
Yeah, that might be the bigger problem, paying for all of the treatments.
Lyme disease costs the U.S. healthcare system over $1.3 billion last year. And antibiotic resistant cost over $1 last year. And antibiotic resistant cost over $4 billion. So this is a huge issue.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much for coming to be on Meet the Drapers. Want to see more? Tap Meet the Drapers below and hit the link in bio.